owned an escort service in the 90s, and Trump was one of her clients. But not like exclusively, like basically just whenever he came to Phoenix, which was a surprising amount of times, actually. My mother was one of the co-owners of Camel View Limos and Tours, which was an LLC, was a company that existed. You can Google it. And while granted, most of the time, Trump and all of the people associated with him who would hire people for these services really legitimately just wanted gorgeous women to accompany them to dinner. Ironically enough, it was pretty innocent at first. Literally just a bunch of fucking loser men who have to pay beautiful women to be near them, which explains Melania's entire fucking marriage. But being part of the business, my mother was also privy to certain things that were happening just outside of what most people would consider okay. Human trafficking. We all know it's human trafficking. But they called it the circuit. At least her and all her hoe friends in the 80s and 90s. And the circuit was known to be something that wasn't advertised, something that not even the fucking feds could get their hands on, something that was entirely word of mouth, where gorgeous women were recruited off the streets, snatched by human traffickers, and then sold to the absolute highest of bidders. Now, what could be the defining feature of these beautiful women being pulled off the streets that would fetch such a high price? A price above all others? I wonder. But my mother, for all her flaws, was an ethical hoe, goddammit. An ethical madam. Her girls wanted to be there, making hand-over fucking fists to spit in men's mouths because you don't do what you're good at for free. She was a sex worker, not a sex trafficker. And anybody associated with the circuit made her very nervous for very good reason. So imagine her discomfort when allegedly, somebody who is allegedly associated with Trump, somebody whose room was booked under and paid for by Donald Trump, hired a bunch of girls from her service to come meet up for like this big shindig, only to be greeted by a whole bunch of other girls who were there from the circuit. One of the girls called my mother immediately and her driver and said, "Something's off, I'm leaving." That something off was the fact that only 2 of the girls spoke English and none of them looked to be over 18. And then once they found out that services to Camel View Limos and Tours could be charged to a credit card, but all other services by everyone else in the room had to be cash, the girls were fucking out of there. They came back to the office with their drivers and said, "Don't you ever fucking send us to that goddamn creep ever again." And Donald J. Trump was blacklisted from ever hiring an escort from Camel View Limos and Tours, because he also had girls there who were being paid in cash, did not speak English, and did not look old enough to be there. Allegedly. It's also alleged that a woman from that same night went to the hospital the next morning with lacerations all over her arms and face, consistent with machete strike. There's also a story that there was a lot of screaming coming from that floor and that somebody said, "Let me leave, I want to fucking leave," over and over before they heard more screaming. Apparently the girl told the ER that she'd been in a car accident and then completely left the service, and then went on to buy a massive $2.5 million home in the foothills of Phoenix at 19 years old. Make of that what you will. And granted, my mother is a narcissist and was a cokehead for most of the 90s, but the one thing she's not is bad at intuition. God gives his best sixth sense to his craziest bitches, and she's definitely the top 3. That woman can sniff out danger a mile away. She knows when a volcano erupts before the fucking geologists, okay? And she knew something about that night was not okay. That something about that client was not okay. And she blacklisted him. A man with a fuck ton of money, which is her kryptonite. Gone. Blacklisted. Again, allegedly. But I remember hearing these stories about this man back when there was nothing to gain from any of it. Back when he was just some fucking sad, slack-jawed, jowled loser who managed to bankrupt several casinos, and the best he could do with his middle to late age was hosting his own show where he got to yell at people all day to make up for his little brown mushroom. And apparently it is a little brown mushroom, and he likes having the woolly part of blankets rubbed on it. Like the woolly part that gets kind of like gummed up when you put it in the washer and dryer a couple of times, but it's real soft when you get it. He likes the real soft part. And if I have to know that, so do you. But I believe the old whore over the old pedophile, personally. My mama was a hoe. Your president fucks children. Allegedly. And allegedly likes blanket jobs. I'll never get that out of my head. Fuck. And I know it's super hard to come to terms with the fact that you might have been completely fucking duped by an ancient pedophile. But don't feel too bad, okay? Happens to a lot of people. There are like 2 billion Catholics worldwide. Happens all the time. What matters is how you choose to process all of the information coming in about that pedophile. You can believe all the documents, all of the first, second, third hand accounts, all of the receipts, the flight logs, the consequential, circumstantial evidence, Or you can believe the man who has everything to lose, if it's all true. And I'm not saying you're mentally deficient for believing him. I'm just saying that if you have just a few more instances of forgetting to put your socks on when you put your shoes on, you're going to have someone in your home that is paid to make sure you complete your ADLs appropriately. Have fun defending somebody who allegedly pays children to rub blankets on his dick. At least you showed those icky gays what for. You fucking freak.